Hello everybody, I'm the Gamer Scott and welcome to my first look at RICO by Ground Chatter. RICO is a first-person shooter where you play a movie-style police officer taking down buildings full of criminals. Basically, if you've ever wanted to feel like John McClane in your own personal Die Hard, this is where you do it. The levels are procedurally generated, so there's no way to know exactly which rooms or paths you're going to get, although like any roguelike or roguelite game, you start to see familiar layouts after a few plays. There are a few different map themes, from office blocks to apartments to office blocks or apartments that are under construction. They add a little bit of variance to each level, but I would like to see more. There are 3 modes to choose from. Quick play, where you generate a random seed to play. The daily challenge, where everyone plays the same seed against the clock, and you got high scores, but those are both just for bragging rights or practice. RICO really comes into its own when you play the full campaign. The campaign is a fixed path through several missions with a quickly escalating difficulty level. Interestingly, there's a real-time 24-hour time limit, meaning if the game is loaded, if you started that campaign, that timer is going. And just in case you think that sounds too easy, each mission you complete removes another hour from the clock, so things can get a bit tense. You get experience and merits for completing missions. The merits let you unlock new items, and leveling up unlocks new perks, permanent upgrades like stun immunity or reduced damage in certain circumstances, that you can use to improve your chances. The time limit gives you a solid incentive to keep powering towards the Kingpin, but of course, if you branch off to do some side missions, you could unlock more weapons that might give you even more of a chance of winning. So there's a delicate balancing act between keeping going forward and trying to improve yourself. There are 3 characters to choose from, although it doesn't seem to make any difference which one you pick. They don't speak at all during the missions or between missions, so it seems to be just an aesthetic choice. It probably matters more if you're playing co-op, so you can see the other player, but unfortunately I haven't had the chance to do that yet. So let's talk about the game. Standard FPS rules apply, although one weird omission is the ability to jump. You can't jump over tables or chairs, there is no jumping. For a game that pitches itself on its movie feel, not being able to leap over an obstacle is a strange thing to miss out. It doesn't affect the gameplay at all, it's still a lot of fun, but it just seems weird. One thing you will find as you play through are these locked doors. You unlock them by destroying computers that are laid out at random across the level. The locked doors don't necessarily lead to harder enemies or rooms, but you do need to get through them if you want to 100% the level. One thing that's interesting and a lot of tense fun on the later levels is that enemies can, and will, burst through doors to come and find you instead of waiting for you to come and find them. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of it here, but I'm sure you can imagine what kind of fun that leads to. Bombs sometimes appear in the levels and will need to be defused before the timer runs out, otherwise it's an instant death. It's not always obvious where the bombs are, they're usually pretty well defended, and there's usually 2 or 3 of them. The time limit can be really tough, especially in the later campaign missions. Basically, everything in RICO is designed exclusively to increase the tension. It works really well that way. If you do run out of health, you will get knocked down. You can revive yourself with a quick stab of a magical syringe, Battle Royale style. It's only really important in the campaign mission where, if you die, the entire mission's failed and you need to start over from scratch. One thing that's worth knowing is that health is persistent between campaign missions. So if you end with 2 HP, you start the next mission with 2 HP. You can buy heals in between the levels, but that eats into your savings for buying better weapons. So it adds an extra level of consideration when you're in the levels. Is it worth hunting down that last health kit where you might encounter more enemies, or should you just go while you're still alive? Unfortunately, it's not all perfect. The AI in particular can be a little bit suspect. If you hide behind a doorway, the enemies just tend to pile out one by one, letting you kill them safely, either with a couple of shots to the chest or head, or the way that I do it, melee style. It's a solid technique in the campaign mode where you want to try and minimise health loss as much as possible. It's not actually a valid technique in the daily challenges where time is important. If you want to rank highly on the daily scoreboards, you need to be faster than this, so waiting around for the enemies to come to you is not actually a valid tactic. But when it comes to the campaign, absolutely. So that's RICO. It's out now at £18 or your regional equivalent, and at the time of recording still has the 10% launch discount on Steam. I genuinely am looking forward to playing more of it on stream later. So if you've enjoyed the video, please consider liking and think about subscribing to the channel or following me over at twitch.tv/thegamerscott. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.